Hey everybody, I'm Ross Johnson, your favorite co-host, ringing in the new year a couple weeks late with the Sound of Tomorrow show on WAYO 104.3 FM Rochester. Coming up, we're going to be talking about gas stoves. They're coming for your gas stoves, everybody. Better hunker down, hide your gas stove, hide behind your gas stove, and hide under your and put it in the, lock it up, because they're coming for it. And we got some hot picks and we got some miscellaneous crap. It's going to be one of those kind of shows, so don't look for the themes will emerge through the course of conversation. Don't look for one at the outset. That's next on the Sound of Tomorrow, coming up. But first,
hey Ross, thank you so much for letting me use my new metal detector on your property.
Oh, that is no problem, Heather. We hadn't anticipated you'd be doing so much excavation, honestly, but I don't know, with all the work on the house we've been having done, the yard's going to need some work in the spring anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. It had to be done though.
Oh, really? Like it had to? Really? I mean, I thought you just got overexcited, as is your way.
I mean, that too, but it was necessary.
Okay, so like any good finds? Did you get some cool bottle caps or stuff like that?
Well, firstly, thank you too for allowing me to keep everything I found while metal detecting on your property.
Yeah, I mean, I like bottle caps, but oh no, did you find that key to the garage I lost in 2007? Mike is still a little salty about that.
Yes, I don't need to keep that. It's in your mailbox. However, the other finds? OMGP. Ross, your yard was a treasure pit.
Okay. So you got like bottle caps and like a rusty spoon, I would assume.
I did get those too, but I'm talking literal treasure, Ross.
Okay, I don't follow. What could you have possibly found with your metal detector in my suburban yard?
Literal treasure, Ross. Okay,
Wow.
let me give you a bit of a geography lesson. You're not from here, so you probably don't know that up until the 50s, this entire area was under the ocean.
Okay, the 50s though? Like which 50s?
Well, the 1950s, I guess. Or well, I guess my house was built in the 1880s, so yeah, maybe the 1850s. It would have been dried up by then.
Okay, that's not how oceans work though.
You know I went to public schools. Why are you pressing me on this?
Fair.
Anyway, a while ago, some 50s, this entire area was under the ocean. So, as happens, ships crossed all over here. And on occasion, sadly, they ran into some trouble and sank.
Yeah, I don't think this is factual.
Oh, no, Ross. Ships sank. They sank. They
Okay.
sank even.
Okay, but not in the greater Rochester area. I mean, okay, fine. Maybe on the mighty Genesee. Geez, I don't know, little ships that do that, but not in the suburbs, sweetie.
It was the ocean then, not the suburbs.
Okay, I don't.
Well, then, how do you explain me discovering the wreck of La Hermosa in your backyard with my metal detector?
La Hermosa? You're making less and less sense. Oh, I get it. Okay, your Xanax gin what do you call that drink? It's the Xanax gin fizz that you like so much. That's kicking in, right?
I am
Clearly.
as sober as the day I was born.
Okay, that is not. I don't think that even that's saying much.
Hey!
I mean, just what I've heard.
Ugh. Well, do you want to hear about La Hermosa or not?
Okay, if this explains the literal crater in my yard, sure. Why don't you go on?
Yes, the crater. I'm so sorry, but I am quite wealthy now, so I can help with that. So let me set the scene. Here I am with my metal detector my parents bought me for Christmas off my wish list, and it's going beep, beep, finding cool stuff. Neat bottle caps, your key, a little spare change. Not bad. And then I get to the center of your backyard, and I swear, the thing, it just starts going off like wild. It didn't even go off like that when I found the 72 Camaro buried in my backyard.
Okay, wait, hold on. Did I just hear you had a Camaro buried in your yard?
Yeah, I live in the city. It's weird there.
Okay, that's true. That's tracks. Sure.
So the metal detector is practically vibrating. It's going off so hard. And novice that I am, even I realize this is serious. So I grab my shovel and I start digging. A few feet deep, I hit wood. As I clear a little more dirt and sod, I realize I'm on to something. So I call in my excavation crew.
Okay, which you're only like 2 weeks into the metal detecting game and you already have an excavation crew on lock?
When I want something, I don't waste time.
Oh, that is true about you, and it's terrifying, frankly. Nobody
What is a
likes that
life
about you.
lived without passion?
Fair. Okay.
So
Yeah.
my crew gets here and carefully, they unearth La Hermosa.
And this was all after I left for the DMV.
Yeah, you had it out right before I called the team. I tried to flag you down, but you yelled, I'm not helping you dig, and sped
Yeah.
off. So once we could board, I mean, I guess does one board erect ship? I don't
Mm.
know. So I was looking around. There was the normal kind of stuff you'd find on any kind of basic Spanish galleon: cannons, sealed jars of spices, some porcelain shards, a few intact vases, water damaged silk, and gold. Gold, Ross, so much gold. Doubloons, chains, ingots, you name a gold shape, La Hermosa had it.
Okay, you're clearly joking because there's no way that you found this.
Oh, but I did.
Okay, Heather, what you're showing me right now, that's got to be a gold foil wrapped chocolate coin.
Real doubloon, Ross. I kept a few for sentimental reasons.
You kept a few. Oh, okay. Before you handed over the rest to like the Smithsonian or something, because this is obviously a major historical find.
You know, I considered that. But do you know how much eggs cost these days? Hummus is 2 for $7 now. 2 for $7 for hummus.
Okay, Heather,
I know this guy in Boston who has a cash for gold place, and he was more than happy to take the lot off of my hands. Guess who had a 6 egg omelet for breakfast today? Oh, yeah.
okay, Heather.
I know what you're thinking. I made you and Mike sign that contract that I could keep anything I found.
I was actually thinking about the history that is lost, frittered away on your eggs.
No, you weren't.
I wasn't. I was kicking myself for being so stupid to convince Mike you'd just find a bunch of junk we didn't want.
I knew it. Check your phone. Got you, boo. 50-50.
Can
Right?
I have one of the vases too?
Your birthday is coming up.
Oh, you're a shipwreck.
That's what they say. I read about it on the internet.
Hmm. Hey everybody, I'm Ross Johnson, your favorite co-host.
I'm Heather Zykowski, the babe with the power. Welcome to the Sound of Tomorrow on WAYO-LP Rochester.
Welcome to the show where the people, they talk about stuff.
That, I think Wayo is probably going to cut right out of this show and use it as like a between show promo bit.
Actually,
Like
they're
for
going to cut
all
out of the show,
shows.
and then they're going to have to pay me because I'm going to record that track professionally and then get royalties and whatnot.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. Have you heard about all the TV shows? What's going on in TV?
What?
This isn't a topic of conversation. It's just, we talked about royalties. I brought up royalties.
Yeah.
So there's this, this is really, this is like, mostly this is like HBO, right? Which HBO Time Warner owns like a bunch of different stuff. So it's a whole bunch of different stuff. So basically, like, to save money, they're doing this thing where they're like canceling shows, even shows they've already done. Because that way they can save money on paying royalties to people who worked on the shows. So like, they've done it with a few things. So most recently they did it with Snowpiercer, which was like, so Snowpiercer was to run for 4 seasons. They aired the first 3 seasons. They've been advertising the 4th season, which was supposed to come out like in like 3 weeks or something. And instead they have, and it's done. Like this, it's ready to go. Like they filmed it, everything's ready to go. And instead they're like, nope, we are just gonna put this in the vault and no one will ever see this, and we're gonna hide this away because it's this weird like economics thing where it's not an economics thing. It's a crappy, like bad people running businesses thing. But basically like a Like a show that's really popular is probably that's super popular is probably exempt from this. A show that's not popular at all is probably exempt for this. But a show that's pretty popular is like prime target. And this has happened to like multiple shows and movies at this point that they've just because like if they're pretty popular such that people will watch it, then that they have to pay royalties when people watch the show. So they're not only like they're basically like disappearing these things. They're filming them and then like they're just like, oh, we're not gonna air it. It's gone forever. We're gonna hide it. We're not putting it out anyway. So like if you watched Snowpiercer, for example, and there are other shows they've done this too, you'll just never see the end of it. Good luck.
What?
We filmed it. We're not putting it out. It's so bizarre.
That's incredibly strange. I'll admit, I don't really know how these services make their money. I mean, I know at least part of it is just people subscribing and
Yeah,
paying for the service.
like in this case with Time Warner, I guess what happened is they were bought by a new company that wanted to like save money. So all of the things that were filmed, like that's a sunk cost. That's last quarter. We can't make up that money, but we can make it up going forward by completely disappearing this, calling it a tax write-off, and then never
Wow.
never paying royalties to like, which is cruddy because a lot of the like contracts are negotiated such that okay, you'll get paid a certain amount for working on the thing, but you'll also get royalties. So that's like
Right.
part of your compensation. So it's basically they found a way to pay people like half of what they said they were going to pay them.
Wow. Wow. That stinks.
It's kind of terrible. They did it to a whole movie. there was a there was a Batgirl movie with like Michael Keaton, not as Batgirl, but I'm drawing a blank on the name of the Batgirl character, actor, person, and like Brendan Fraser was in it, and they were just like, no, it's better if we take a tax write off.
That
And they're just like, we are hiding this away and no one will ever see it because if anyone ever sees it, then we can't get our tax write off.
wow. That is gross.
It's so weird. It's so weird and dumb. Yeah, and it seems to be more and more like, and Netflix is canceling a lot of stuff too, just on the basis of like, a lot of these streamers were doing a thing where with all these streaming services competing, they were all doing this thing like we're just going to spend a ton of money and then we'll get ahead and then we can like make that money back, in the future. You know how like Amazon for like a long time like ran in the red just so they could like knock out every other online competitor, and like I think Uber and Lyft were trying to do that to each other for a long time where like we will spend more money than we make, but it's okay because in the future we'll knock out all the competition and then. But the streaming service, so a lot of the streaming services were doing that, and then I think they were all doing that, and then they all wound up in the same place of like we've spent a lot of money, so a lot of them are spazzily like. So Netflix is canceling like even very popular things because they're like we don't have money to make it anymore, even though it's very
Oh,
like shows that are like super duper like top of their charts, they're canceling because they're like we don't have money to make this anymore.
wow. Wow. That really stinks.
It seems like I mean, I understand like TV's a business and there are things that have been canceled in the past where I'm like, "Oh, I'm really sad or mad about this," but also I guess I can recognize that no one watched this but me. So it's probably a lot of money to keep continuing this show. But this seems just like bad business people doing bad
Right.
business things, like not managing their business as well and then taking it out on like supporting actors, you
Right.
know.
Yeah. Wow. My goodness. Speaking of Netflix, I did watch The Midnight Club.
Oh, what'd you think?
Really liked it.
You'll
Was
recall, everyone, if you were listening 4 to 5 episodes ago, we talked about the Midnight Club. And I said, Heather, you might like the Midnight Club. And she said, okay, I'm going to check it out. So now you're
yeah.
caught up. Welcome back.
Well, I just wanted to tell you that because I also talked with your charming husband about it. And
Previously on The Sound of Tomorrow.
right.
Yes.
We talked about the
So,
Midnight Club. But I did get to see that. Um Jumping to a completely different topic, and then I have a completely different topic after that.
sure.
I received an alarming message purportedly from you
For
last
me,
week. Yeah, so I went on to one of my social media accounts, and there is a message from a Ross
My
Johnson,
MySpace. Yeah.
um, who apparently plays the drums because that's the profile picture. And the message is, this is ominous. Are you ready?
Okay.
When someone was nothing but good to you and you sling their name through the mud, what does that say about you and your character? So,
This was like a DM?
yeah,
Weird.
from Ross Johnson.
Yeah, I don't know who sent that. That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it was very strange. And then it says this person is unavailable on Messenger. So I am very confused.
That's a weird that's a weird like cuz it's
Some
I
of
don't know what
them,
the goal I don't know what the goal of that is because it's not like you're going to buy something now.
right? That's the thing. There's no link to click where I would download malware into
Right.
something. There's no link at all. There's no image.
Unless I mean, so I think some of this stuff is maybe like saying something provocative to get you to respond to see if you're a real person. So they know they're not talking to another bot. I
Oh,
wonder. Maybe it's something like that.
maybe that's it.
Because you would like see that and then you'd be angry or whatever or concerned and you'd respond and then they'd be like, oh, this is a real person.
Maybe that's it. Maybe what they wanted was for me to be like, what are you talking about? Like, who is
Yeah,
this? Maybe
I wonder.
that's it.
Because
And I guess then
it was certainly not my drunk self.
it was also sent at like 8:30 in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
So
I
you're
know.
not you're not known to be a person who's notoriously drunk at 8:30 in the morning.
Yeah, and I would certainly know better than to try to send you a message at 8:30 in the morning. um yeah, I don't think I mentioned this. I had a thing on Instagram where I had a fake account
Yes.
that I
And
think is gone.
like followed me.
Yeah, and it was sort of funny because it was like well, it was an OnlyFans thing. Like because
Yes.
it was pictures of me from just that they just took from my Instagram account and then made like a doppelganger Instagram account of me with pictures of me. But then it was like blah blah blah, go to my OnlyFans.
Yeah.
And then like I looked really quickly and the link, like if you looked at looked at the link without clicking on, don't, never click on and go to the link. But if
Yes.
you looked at the link, it was not actually to OnlyFans. It was
Right.
like something else. So obviously that was the something else. But there were, I mean, most people were like, oh, I saw this and reported it. There were one or two people that were like, oh, I thought maybe you started. And I was like,
I actually, because I was one of those who was like, did Ross really go and start an OnlyFans? And then I was actually like, go Ross.
yeah, I don't know. And I had two simultaneous reactions because I had one like slightly old timey reaction where I was like, who
My
would think that I would
stars.
start an OnlyFans? Oh my goodness. And then there was another part of me that was like, oh, go Ross. What if I
I
did?
know, yeah. I
So,
I only had the reaction of go Ross. But
well,
then like I talked to a mutual friend of ours, like we were just talking then, and I was like, oh, I see that you're following Ross's new profile. Is that really him or something? And they'd watched your story,
oh, okay.
the when where you had posted like, it's not me. And so then they were like, no, it's not. He posted something in a story about it.
Yeah, I don't know how many people thought I had an OnlyFans, which, like I said, it doesn't seem like a me thing to do, which makes it sort of fun that people thought
Well,
I did. And it's fine. And it's fine, by the way. It's fine. I like go me. If I were to do that, go
yes.
me. Would you if you so would you follow your friends OnlyFans or would it depend on the friend? Or would you just
Don't
not at all?
you? So don't you have to sign up?
Yeah. I mean sort of. But I mean it's like I think you need to put in like with anything else, I think you need to put in like an email address.
Huh. Yeah, that's a good question.
So it's not complicated.
I don't know. Would I follow your OnlyFans?
Yeah.
And I guess I should if I'm a good friend.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I guess I yeah, it's I'm wondering the question of myself. I think it would depend on the friend.
Yeah.
But if I had a friend who had an OnlyFans, I feel like they're probably not someone who, I mean, they're probably open enough that, you know what I mean? Like it wouldn't be weird. Like if I had a friend who was very very personal and very private and like they wouldn't have an OnlyFans. So I wouldn't follow their OnlyFans, but they wouldn't have an OnlyFans, that person.
Yeah.
So someone that did is probably more open and wouldn't care. I mean, wouldn't like, I don't know. I also feel like
Yeah.
there's, I think, I guess it would be different because I don't, maybe I shouldn't make this in, maybe, I don't know if I don't know if I should turn this into like a gay versus straight thing, but I feel like there are like male friends of mine who I would not necessarily like engage with sexually, who I would totally be into. Like if they had an OnlyFans, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'd be into that, sure.
Huh.
And I feel like that's more I don't know. I feel like maybe that's more casual with gay men sometimes. Sometimes.
Yeah,
But I'm probably being too like reductive there.
I don't know. I can definitely think of at least one friend that if they had an OnlyFans, they would really, really, really want me to follow it.
Okay.
And so I'd be like, cool, yeah, I
Okay.
will.
Because
But
they
then,
like you, or because they just would be into it.
yeah, and because they're like really into photography and stuff like that.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
And
So
also OnlyFans,
it
we're
would be
talking
like
about
a
like
media thing.
we're talking about a sexual OnlyFans, which I have seen people do like OnlyFans for my photography or my comedy. I don't know that it works. So I'm
Yeah, no, I mean
in this context,
this
yeah.
would be racy photography, but it would
Racy
be
photography.
so it would fit for OnlyFans.
Hmm. And there's plenty of stuff too where it's like racy, but not necessarily
Yeah.
explicit. So that's there. I
Well,
guess it would depend. Yeah.
I am gonna start selling my feet pics. Once I get a patty.
You you should. Oh my god. Yeah. I don't think I have great feet. I mean, they're fine. They're not like yucca
I'm
roots or anything,
sure.
but
Oh, you have perfectly fine feet. I've seen you in sandals.
they're fine. I don't know if they're like, I don't know if people would pay to look at them fine, you know?
I bet they would. Maybe
Maybe
we
they
should
would.
start a Sound of Tomorrow foot page.
Foot pain. Just our feet pics. Well, I'm certainly not giving it away for free.
Yeah, no. No, 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 on OnlyFans.
Okay,
It
sure.
would be our collective account, but just our feet.
What if it was wildly popular?
I think it would be. I think it probably would be.
I've made some jokes about feet pics, and I'm not trying to do a Sound of Tomorrow thing where like, oh, by the way, I just want everyone to know that we fully support. Like, I'm not into feet myself. So it's a slightly funny thing to me. I in no way disparage people who are into feet because
Oh,
frankly,
no, that's fine.
I'm into weird stuff too, and it's fine.
Isn't everybody?
So
People are so
so
strange.
right.
Brains are just wired so strangely.
They are, and it's probably a lot of trauma.
Of
Like
course. Isn't everything
I
hugely
feel
informed
like
by trauma?
I feel like I reframed this for myself the other day in my head because I was thinking about that because someone was talking about someone a someone sent me a clip of a stand-up comedian, or they didn't send me a clip, they did a like an Instagram story, but it was slightly directed at me because I had I had shown a picture of a part of my, it was my armpits, it's my arm, I'll just say it's my armpits, this is something we can talk about.
Yeah.
So I
No,
showed a
we're
picture
allowed to
where you
say
could see
armpit on.
my
Yeah.
armpit, and responded with a story that was like that was a clip of a stand-up comedian talking about how like, you know, whatever, talking about the trauma that makes him be really into armpits, and he's not sure what the trauma is. I forget what the joke was, and it's okay, I don't need to copy his joke, but I was like, I was like, God, it is all trauma. Like, I
Yeah,
think, like, and then, but then I was like, you know what? Maybe that's okay. Maybe it's like, maybe that's the cure for the trauma. You know?
right. It's,
Yeah. Maybe
I
you,
mean,
maybe
it's
you like
not
feet
hurting
because of
anyone.
trauma. Maybe you like feet because of trauma, and maybe you can have some feet to help with your trauma.
Yes, as long as, I mean, they're consenting feet.
Consenting feet. Yes, absolutely. Feet should always have a say.
I think they should.
So, okay. Well, we haven't resolved the
Yeah.
issue of whether Heather's going to follow my OnlyFans, but we have
Nor have
determined
we,
that.
nor do we know if you're going to follow mine. We have determined we are going to set up a joint OnlyFans. So, watch. You could, if you want to find out more about that, you could watch over at soundoftomorrow.com because I'm pretty sure we're not allowed to advertise that here on the radio when we get our
Probably
Sound of
not.
Tomorrow foot
Probably not.
pictures OnlyFans.
Oh,
So, Ross,
yes,
it's
ma'am.
finally happened.
You started your OnlyFans just now.
No, worse,
That didn't take that long, actually. Oh, okay.
much worse. Ross,
What could be worse than your OnlyFans?
I got a smartwatch.
Oh, we're
Do
gonna
you
do the thing where,
remember? Do you remember my unhealthy relationship with my Fitbit?
um, yes,
This
yes, we
this is
had an
just
intervention where your friends got together and jumped up and down on your Fitbit, and then we found out you had 5 of them hidden around the house, so it didn't really matter.
no. I mean, this is just me. This is just me getting back into those old unhealthy relationship ways with the smartwatch.
Now, I don't need to know the brand, but when you say you got a smartwatch, because sometimes when you get technology, it's like my mom getting
It is.
technology. So
This is exactly like your mom getting technology.
okay, so it
So
came from like J.C. Penney or something.
it came from Meh, which is a little
Okay,
more modern than your mom.
all right, slightly.
But yeah, it's not like an Apple Watch or something. Um, but it does this stuff. It takes
Okay.
heart rate, temperature, blood pressure, tracks steps and activity,
Hmm.
oxygen level. Yeah, I wanted it for the health features. I didn't really need it for the, oh, look, I can now text somebody from my wrist when I'm already holding my phone.
Yeah.
So it just does the basic stuff. That's all I wanted. Um, yeah, I'm already like getting wound up about my steps. I am doing things like taking Zoom calls on my phone so that I can pace and get more steps. I'm spending way too long on my exercise bike so I can get more steps.
Um,
This isn't
and
good.
so I say this with a smile on my face and a chuckle in my voice. You're going to get rid of it, right? Because when you say it's not good, I feel like it's really probably not good.
Well, and I knew this going into it. I saw it on Meh. I
Hmm.
said, remember your Fitbit. Remember how freeing it was when your Fitbit finally broke after your friends jumped on it and then took your 5 spares. Remember how you finally felt free of a terrible, terrible burden. And I still bought it anyway.
Um, could you lower the threshold of stuff to do?
No,
Why not?
it's not how OCD works. You can't just make those adjustments.
So, but I'm not trying to tell you how to OCD, but so your OCD requires you to do the preset the preset numbers on the that came with the watch.
Oh, no, I had to set the number myself. And it's
Oh,
the same as I had with my Fitbit because
oh,
that's the number.
all right. Um, so I think you should get rid of that. I have no solution for anything for
I
this ending in
know.
anything other than tears.
No, I know. Um, yeah, I've got a problem. Um, I keep telling myself, like, just do the health monitoring for a couple weeks. Get that twice daily blood pressure check and all that good stuff.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Also, I'll tell you. So I like mine for the reminding me to stand up. I don't know if yours
Yes.
does that.
Mine will. I
Ah,
have to switch that on, which I haven't yet. And it will also tell me when to drink some water.
okay. Which I think you know how to do.
Yeah, I mean, considering I have a huge cup of tea and a glass of orange juice right here, I don't think I'm in danger of dehydration.
All right. So, um, and you sort of walk around a lot. So this is really doing nothing but triggering your OCD. Is really the
Yeah.
only thing this does.
I
Because as far
th-
as the health monitoring, like you really don't need you like that's nice and all, but you really don't need. I've discovered I really don't need 24/7 oxygen blood
I
rate
don't
monitoring.
I don't
Nor do I need to know my pulse on a minute to minute basis.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Like I always find that interesting, but I do find that I I do check it numerous times a day because I can.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's that's part of how my brain works, that we check and then we recheck and we recheck. But yeah, so I wanted to confess this to you because I knew when I bought the smartwatch, I knew, hey, you're doing a bad thing. And I've had it for 2.5 days and already I know. Um, because I'm already stressing about how to get the rest of my steps for the day.
Yeah, because it's not going to fade. It's going to get worse.
Yeah,
Correct? I mean, that's
that's how it
I think
does.
that's a fair statement.
That's how it
Yeah.
does. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I know
I'm
how this
saying
story goes.
I'm saying take the watch back. I don't think there's any way this ends well.
I will
I'd love to be supportive here, but I think the most supportive thing I can do
I know.
is grab it off your wrist next time I see you and throw it into the street.
I mean, it's possible because there are yeah, I mean, I I should know better,
Yeah.
but I don't.
Yeah.
But I don't. So I'll report back on that. I just wanted to tell you
All right.
that I've
It's not
made
going to be
probably a
it's
grave
not going to be a
error.
good it's not going to be a good report.
I doubt it.
I'll just tell
I
you that
doubt
right
it.
now.
What if by some miracle next week I'm like, I just really like this watch. I almost never check it, but when I do, it's pretty neat.
Well, I would be impressed with that. And when I got mine, I was checking it all the time, and then that faded. I don't know that that will be the case with you. My interest in checking it all the time faded, but you know, I mean, there is you do kind of get bored with it, and maybe it will help because when I first got mine, I was really worried about closing all the rings and doing that stuff because I wanted to make sure that my brain knew to take it seriously. Um, you know, maybe you don't. Maybe you find a way not to do it. And maybe that starts to tell your brain that it doesn't really matter.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. I've heard that that is like the way to get through some of the stuff that I face is to just make myself not do the checks.
Well, not even not do the checks, but I mean, yeah, don't. I mean, yeah, if you can not do the checks, that's great. But I'm thinking like, don't do all the steps.
Yeah, and that would be like not doing the checks.
Yeah, and then maybe, just maybe,
I don't
possibly,
know.
that triggers your brain to go, eh, this isn't that important. The world didn't come to an end.
See, that
I
was the
mean,
great thing about when my Fitbit broke.
or or you could just break it.
I know, I know.
Well,
So I don't know. We'll
well,
see. We'll see how it
well.
goes.
I look forward to hearing about the hellscape that your life has become in a week or two.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Um, and I'll be over with a hammer. So, Heather,
Ross,
have you heard about, speaking of hot stuff? I
your
don't know.
hot stuff.
Thank you. You've obviously been to my OnlyFans. So
I've seen
there's
your
a,
feet.
there's a, they're fine.
They're
There's
great.
a new, there's a new scandal. There's a new scandal at the highest levels of our government. There's a
Yeah.
new outrage, perfidious outrage, horror. People are up in arms, Heather. Do you know why?
Well, tell me. I think I have heard the smallest thing about this.
So, um, It's about your gas stove, Heather.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris is on her way to your house as we speak to rip out your gas stove, probably with her bare hands.
Oh, I'll put the kettle
And
on.
yeah, and well, you can't because she's going to take your stove.
The kettle is
And
an electric kettle.
oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah, it's got a
And
switch.
yeah, so she'll probably leave that. She might call you by a pronoun.
Oh
So
my
just
goodness. That
look out
boy, oh
there.
boy, when people use a pronoun when they talk to me, that really, boy, that gets my goat.
So we've seen with the new Republican Congress, with the high price of groceries and the war in Ukraine and various international issues, their top priority so far has been, well, they've had two priorities. One is investigating Hunter Biden's laptop, and well, the first was trying to agree on someone who could possibly be a Speaker of the House,
Uh-huh.
and then Hunter Biden's laptop, and then this bombshell dropped. The Consumer Product Safety Commission, which is an independent government agency, one of the commissioners, there have been a slew of reports over the years, and recently there was a recent one with sort of further confirming the linkages to gas stoves and childhood asthma.
Oh.
And there have also been reports about safety issues with certain gas stoves. So so there's been talk over the last few years, but this has sort of come up again with this latest report about are gas stoves being made safe enough? Do we have the right, do they have the right safety mechanisms? Do they have the right, are the rules strict enough basically for the, potential dangers? So one of the commissioners on the Consumer Product Safety Commission, which is an independent group, had mentioned that had said the phrase "products that can't be made safe can be banned." And so this is Richard Trumka Jr. Now, bearing in mind this is one individual, one commissioner who has one vote on the Consumer Product Safety Board, who was also not proposing any. They were basically asking so what should we do about these problems with gas stoves? And he was like, oh, I don't know. We should look at we should look at the regulations and see if they're good enough. And if there's some, if there are products being sold that are truly wildly unsafe for people, maybe we should look at at banning those products. Not even talking about gas stoves in general, but like particular, specific kinds of gas stoves. So this set off a firestorm. It turned into Joe Biden is going to take your gas stove that you love. Let me see. So
What?
what are some of the responses? Oh, and by the way, so the CPSC in general released a statement saying we're not looking to ban gas stoves, and the CPSC has no power or proceeding to do so. Trumka Jr. said, we're not coming for anyone's gas stoves. Any new regulations would apply to new products. The White House released a statement saying the president does not support banning gas stoves, nor is the Consumer Product Safety Commission banning gas stoves. So this has set off a firestorm. It has been in Congress. Basically, this is the new, they're coming to take your guns.
Right,
So
right. Yeah.
Representative Jim Jordan, best known for facilitating sexual abuse of the students under his of these students for which he was assistant coach, who is now one of the top leaders in the House of Representatives, tweeted, God, guns, gas stoves. Jim Banks, who is a Republican congressman, posted a picture of him with soldiers
No,
in military
tell
uniforms
me
in
he
front
was
of a gas
guarding his
stove,
gas.
guarding a gas stove. Swear to God. Ronnie Jackson, who is
Sounds like a joke.
Ronnie
Full
Jackson, who is
military gear guarding a gas stove?
yep. I know a lot of this sounds like a joke, and then you're like, no, you're not joking. Or
Wow.
you're either not joking or you have a sense that the people you're talking to are incredibly stupid. You know,
Right.
even if you
Right.
find it
Maybe it
funny.
was like Oh, this will really get them going.
Mhm.
They'll like this.
Ronnie Jackson, who is a Republican representative from Texas and Donald Trump's former doctor, says, "I'll never give up my gas stove. If the maniacs in the White House come for my stove, they can pry it from my cold, dead hands. Come and take it."
Ah,
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez actually responded to that and said, "Did you know that ongoing exposure to NO2 from gas stoves is linked to reduced cognitive performance?"
she's good.
um,
I. You got any more?
let's see. So Representative Mike Garcia, again, another Republican congressman, says, "Imagine a world where all tortillas are heated in the microwave. We must take us." Wait a minute. Oh, yeah. I see. I started reading this and I thought this was a joke, but we must take a stand against this insanity. So this is, I will be joining my colleagues this week to introduce legislation that stops the stove war from happening. Um, so again, that's a priority. And
The
like you're reading some of these and I'm
stove
like,
war.
this seems like a joke, right? This has to be a joke and it's not. Um, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says, "Don't tread on Florida and don't mess with gas stoves." Um, Mark Lauder, a Republican policy, what do you call it? A like consultant
Okay.
showed a picture of the eternal flame at JFK's grave at Arlington National Cemetery and says, "To Joe Biden and the other radical liberals, don't even think about coming for my gas stove until you extinguish the eternal flame."
So it seems like it's become, somewhat routine. Every time we discuss one of these things on this very program, Sound of Tomorrow here on WAYO LP Rochester, um, I just marvel at how people who tend to skew the way you and I do are the little snowflakes who just can't take anything and we're crying all the time and look at us, stiff upper lips. But wowee, you do a little study that maybe we need to put some more safety regulations on a gas stove and people just flip their lids.
Yeah. And it's not even that. It wasn't even like a commissioned study. It was just like they were just sort of asking the guy about it. And he was like, "I don't know. Maybe if they're bad, we need new regulations. I don't know."
I mean,
It was basically the conversation. Yeah.
and
I,
this whole weird thing that I have never heard somebody who leans more Democrat say these things, but the idea that the government is going to come into your house and take your stuff.
yeah.
I
It's
mean,
such a weird.
and that this happens, I know it does on occasion happen if you have, for example, classified documents in your home. The government
Right.
might come and get them from you because they're
That's
not
really the only
yours
time. That's
and
really the only time it
stolen.
happens is if you stole stuff.
Yeah,
Is if you literally like, and aggressively like like publicly stole stuff.
yeah, yeah. Um, but the whole because I remember it was Hillary Clinton is going to show up at your house and take your guns. She's a busy lady. She's not Santa Claus.
Right.
You know, same with Kamala Harris. I don't know what capacity truck license she has,
Right.
but to be moving all of these stoves, you'd think she'd at least want a crew.
Yeah, it's so wild. And yeah, I just can't think of too many times, and not that, the government is certainly capable of overreach, but I can't think of any examples. And whenever there have been new regulations on stuff, yeah, it's always like going forward. They never come and get the stuff you have.
Right. I also remember this was ages ago. Um, I was having my bathroom redone at my other house and I was getting a new commode and a Republican was completely up in arms because you can't get the high capacity toilets anymore. Well, I hadn't had one of those anyhow,
Yeah.
but completely telling me how I needed to go to Canada and get one of these high capacity toilets and I'm like, I don't want one.
Yeah.
Is that I don't you're very exercised about what kind of toilet I'm getting for my bathroom and I would like one that works.
Yeah, like, and And
But like so mad that you can't get the high capacity ones anymore. It's like, what? Why would you want one?
yeah, yeah, and I mean, I've never had an occasion where it's always hypothetical, you know? It's always some slippery slope hypothetical about like,
Well, if you let them take your guns and your stove, what are they going to take next?
well, and like, oh, there's not going to be any more stoves, you know? Or it's such an extreme. It's not.
I mean, that one fella did completely default to microwaves for tortillas, as though we couldn't have electric stoves anymore.
Right. Right. Which, by the way, as a as an experienced home cook, I will tell you, people talk about gas stoves as like electric stoves are just fine. If you can still get a gas stove, but electric stoves are just fine. Like I
I'll admit, I
cook,
do have a preference.
and
I do
people do.
prefer a gas stove.
People do, and that's fine.
However, had I moved into this house and it had an electric stove and not a gas stove, guess what I would have? An
Yeah.
electric stove.
Yeah.
So that's like
It's
how strong my preference is. I might
yeah.
complain about it a little bit, like, I wish I had a gas stove. I
You know
just
what?
keep the electric stove.
I've had both, and they both do this. You like you adjust. You just use them a little differently, and it's fine.
Yeah.
It's totally fine. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Even if Kamala Harris did come and take your gas stove, which she's not, she's busy.
She's a very busy woman.
I'm sure she works out. Maybe she's strong, but she's probably not strong enough to move a bunch of stoves
I mean, just
by
doing that on
herself.
your own, it's just so bulky.
Yeah, they're hard to
But
get your
you,
hands
if
on.
you get a hand truck, they're not that
Yeah,
bad.
she doesn't have the reach. I mean, that's the thing. Her arms aren't long enough.
You think?
I don't know. It's so stupid.
It really is. It really is. I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all, unfortunately, but it just seems so silly. And then, as you and I have talked about before, I do wonder how many of these people who are all up in arms are maybe more pretending to be
I
real
think there's
agitated.
got to be some of that, right? Because they can't be. I mean,
They can't all be
like
that.
if you're a high government official and somebody goes, "Oh, nobody suggested anything about like I feel like a Marjorie Taylor Greene probably believes everything she says. But does everybody? I don't know.
I mean,
I'm
some
not
people
saying I'm
must
not
be
saying she has
trying.
principles. I'm not saying she has principles. That's not my point. But I think she
Right.
probably convinces herself of every wild thing she says. But
Yeah. But not, I mean, other people must just be like, oh, we'll really get people riled up over this because people only like have so much attention span and
which
so
I
much
can't.
time. So if you get people howling about gas stoves and how the government's going to come in and take them, maybe they won't be howling about, hummus being 2 for $7.
Well, and here we are talking about it too, taking up time with it, and shame on us, I guess, for not us, but
Nah.
I mean, shame on like the. I mean, it does what it's meant to do in one sense, in that it gets people riled up about something stupid, and then instead of dealing with something significant or something important or something real that's going on, like your hummus, we're we have to sit around arguing about like a thing that is patently false.
Yes, whether or not we're allowed to keep our gas stoves.
Yes. So it is. I mean, it does that job. I can't imagine. I don't know. Like a lot of these people have plenty of money. They have I don't understand. I guess I will never understand. I mean, I understand being in politics is partly a sales pitch, and there's always going to be, no matter how good or evil you are, there's always going to be hyperbole, and there's always going to be like a sales pitch involved. I get it. I'm not a child. That's fine. It is what it is. We're not saying it is what it is because that's been banished, but
That's
um,
right.
it,
On
it,
Judge
it
John Hodgman, they now say it's what it's. I think
hmm,
you can still say that.
all right. It's the way of things. But I don't know. I don't understand the cost of it. Like my soul would never be worth that much. To to have a job where I'm just going to go out and make people feel bad and angry and fight over something that I just made up. I can't even imagine, like, are there not better ways to make money? It just seems like I can't even imagine. I would hate myself. I would
Yeah.
hate myself, but I wouldn't, because I would never get to that point. I just would never, I would not be able to do it.
Well, and you do have to wonder. There must be some truly evil people who know that they are lying. They're lying deliberately,
Yeah.
and they are lying to manipulate things in a way that things will go better for them if they get their way. But then I'd imagine there's at least some portion of people who honestly think that somehow they're doing good with this.
I guess. I mean, like,
Like they're fighting for the rights of the American people.
I guess, but I mean, yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure you're right. I cannot wrap my head around it. I can't wrap my head around how, because so many of these stupid debates, or now we're screaming about M&Ms again.
Oh no,
Because
what are
there's a
we
lady.
screaming about M&Ms?
Oh, there's like a lady. There's another lady M&M, or they showed a commercial with a lady M&M now, and people are mad about the woke M&Ms.
Oh my
Um,
gosh, it's a freaking candy.
and yes, I assume that someone could sell themselves perhaps on the idea that, like, oh, if we get people riled up enough to about this, then they won't vote for Joe Biden, and Joe Biden's bad, so we'll get somebody good, and instead, or whatever the cause of their life is. But I mean, it's impossible. It's so impossible for me to wrap my head around, like, being a does it actually work? Not, I mean, maybe on some level, but for the most part, you're just preaching to the choir. You're just as likely to rile up the people against what you're trying to do as you are to rile up the people for what you're trying to do. So it doesn't. I don't know that it actually gets anywhere, except that we have stupid arguments in public all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I can't. I mean, I don't. Maybe this is just patting myself on the shoulder, but I feel like I'm not that evil to, like, sit there and be like, oh, well, the ends justifies the means so much that if there is a 3% chance that me lying to people to get them to get as many Americans to fight with as many other Americans as possible about a lie that will benefit me, I will absolutely do that, no problem. I mean, I'm not that evil, I think. I think. I
Yeah.
mean, evil people probably don't think they are either, but I don't know. So maybe I
Well,
am evil,
I
but
think that's where I was trying to go with it. Like, do the evil people somehow trick themselves into thinking like, no, no, it's for the greater good?
you know what? I think I honestly, I used to think that, just because I can't wrap my head around it. I think it comes down to, I think that's giving people too much credit. I honestly
No, they're
think it's
just
like,
really selfish and they're like, I don't care about anybody else.
I think it's
I
short.
care about myself.
I think it's if there's short-term monetary gain, or maybe even potentially long-term monetary gain, but probably like short-term, if there's short-term monetary gain in this, then that's fine. I don't care. I think that's it. It took me so long in my life to understand that people are that bad. Cuz I can be greedy, I can be petty, I can be all
Oh,
sorts of bad things, but
me
like
too.
I don't have the urge to destroy society just so I can make a few extra dollars. Like, that's not in
Yeah.
me.
I don't have the energy for it. Like, I don't
Or
have
the
the
energy.
interest.
Yeah. So, anyway, let's keep not doing that.
Yeah. Well, we're going to clean up and make plenty of money with our new OnlyFans page.
That's true. That's going to bring down society though too. So I'm not sure if that's
Yeah. Oh, think of the debates about who has better feet, me or you.
it's true. True. True.
I mean, that's going
Cuz
to
you got
be, it's going to be a lot of online polls and stuff.
cuz you got those velociraptor claws, I got these yucca roots. So I don't know, it's just
Yeah.
we'll see. It's
We'll
going to
see
be
about it. Yeah, and
may the odds be ever in your favor.
after here, I have to go and see who's been creeping around my property. There have been more people creeping around my property all day.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. Yep. I checked my security camera footage when I got up, and there were people wandering around in my backyard.
Oh,
And
what's alarming?
then, yeah, was.
In
Don't
the
know
middle
why.
of the day?
At like 10 a.m. Yeah. Everything seems fine back there. I don't know what they were looking at. And then just now, during our very recording time, some man was prowling around on my porch. He did actually ring the doorbell, so that's not that suspicious, but
So
still,
prowling might be
I don't know. My whole street has been under massive construction for the past couple weeks, so there's been a lot going on. But the value of my home has increased exponentially because I now have 3 restrooms.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, they put a porta potty on my front yard.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah,
I'm going to go use that.
you should.
Everybody, listeners, if you need to use the bathroom between now and next week, there's a porta potty in Heather's front yard, so you can go use that.
That's right.
And
I would say feel free to prowl around my house if you want to, but I'll be watching you on the cameras.
Yep, she would anyway. And you'll be watching her because she's got that OnlyFans now. Everybody, we will see you or hear you, or you won't. We won't hear you. You'll hear us.
Yeah, no.
Next week. Happy January. Still working on that sign off. We're gonna get one day.
I was going to say happy day. That wasn't any better.
Yeah, we'll keep working on it. So, what did you do with the rest of the shipwreck?
Oh, I had it processed for my fire pit. I am so set for summer. The wood racks are stocked.
So, okay, you couldn't even let a museum know about that.
Do you know how much my firewood guy charges me for a face cord? This mahogany will burn beautifully.
Oh, God, Heather.
Check your Venmo again. You'll get over it. Right?
Oh, my God. Yeah, I am over it.